Never find where you are. Won't be 'cause I never see why you're so afraid that you are away from me. You're so afraid that you are away from me.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. This is Stacy, and we're back with Stigma Does Not Define Us Mental Health podcast. And we are here with a fine gentleman. Seems like he's going to be a lot of fun. Great conversation already. So I said, hey, let's hit record before we miss all this. His name is Ross Johnston. He is from Stoke-on-Trent, if I said that right in the center of England. We're going to bring him right in. There you are, Ross. Hello. How are
Hi
you?
there. I'm all right. I'm okay.
Very good. Thank you. So I do appreciate you taking the time to do this with us. And I know sometimes arranging the time difference can be a little funny. But, I'd like to just start with what you're doing these days. I see your Instagram page. You're a wildly talented tattoo artist. So tell us about your average day. What are you up to?
So like I say, I live and breathe tattooing. That's what I do. I've always wanted to be a tattoo artist, like since I was a little boy. I've been in various other bits and bobs when I was a kid. I used to play football or soccer, as you guys call it. I did a bit of MMA as well for a little bit.
Wow.
But arts is more my sort of thing, really. I've got a degree in cartoon and comic arts. And that's it really. But yeah, drawing is mainly what I do, like
That's fantastic.
98% of the time.
That's fantastic. And it's funny, we were speaking with a gentleman, Steve, in one of our other episodes, who's also a tattoo artist. And he talked about the creativity was his outlet for a lot of frustrations. So
Yes.
for sure, I'm hearing that a lot. So tell me, let's go back a little bit. The mental health struggle certainly begins somewhere. So when was the first time that you were really saying to yourself, okay, I'm not okay. I'm not feeling good and I need to do something. Tell me about that.
I've always had massive anger issues where I used to be, and I'm not like this anymore. I used to be incredibly violent, incredibly negative, and it sort of really stopped when I hit 17, 18 roughly. And I'd already been through numerous psychologists, psychotherapists, everything to try and sort me out or try and help me. But I don't think I was ready to sort myself out, which I think is a big part. I think you need to recognize that there is an issue. And at some point you need to realize that you need to accept the help and that people aren't going to change it for you, which I think can be a bit of an issue sometimes, where people are like, oh my God, I'm sick of this. I hate the way I am. Great. I'm good that you've recognized it, but you need to realize that you are the only one that can change that. We can guide you in the right way, because I had a lot of CBT as well. And I did a lot of connections with my inner child, specifically when I was 8. And I had to reconnect with that person. And it helped me. And there are a lot of things that were leading up to that point when I realized when I was in trouble and I was heading down a very, very dangerous path. And so then I just realized I can't carry on like this. And luckily I did it early-ish. And then it was just a case of breaking my old habits, which took a number of years. And now obviously I'm the way I am now. I still have that nasty side in me, but I never use it because it's just too scary. It's scary for a lot of people.
Right. So you had mentioned, and if it's okay to discuss here, you had mentioned that some of the toughest times was right when your parents had gotten divorced. Is that
Hmm.
something you'd be comfortable expanding on a
Yeah,
little bit?
I'll
Yeah.
talk. I'll talk about
Yeah.
absolutely
Okay.
everything, because and I do quite frequently as well. There's a thing in England called Mind, and I used to speak for them
Oh,
as like a survivor type thing.
oh, wonderful. Mhm.
And so I'll talk about anything, and then
Okay.
every type of abuse that you could think of,
Okay, great.
I have been through.
Well, that's heartbreaking to hear. Yes, and I
It
mean, and that's
is,
why
but
we're doing this, because I think, and especially for men, and this is I know Mike, who started all this, his goal is to talk about every type of abuse that men can
mhm,
possibly go through, because I think
yep,
so much is taboo, and we don't talk about that, and we hide that, and we want to get rid of that. So
yeah.
yeah, go ahead, tell us about some of those darker times around the
Well, where do you
divorce.
want to start, from when I was a kid, or?
Sure. Yeah, just for like 5 minutes,
Okay.
and then we're gonna, just an overview. Sure.
Okay, so when I was a kid, my mum and dad were together, and my mum is a very strong, powerful person,
Hmm.
and back then physically she was as well. My dad, the same as well.
Okay.
They would argue quite a lot, in getting involved in physical fights as well.
Yeah.
And I'm the sort of person who, again, I'm not shy of physical violence or anything like that.
Hmm.
I used to get involved and try and get in between them both, and I'd occasionally get hurt and stuff like that. Obviously, didn't mean to,
Right.
but when you're in these sorts of rages and stuff, you can't, you don't always help it. So
Right.
my mum and dad splitting up, I took it really, really bad,
Hmm.
um, because I didn't want it to happen, even though I knew it would. And it was the best thing, but that's kind of where it all started from, really, I would say.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, yeah, so
Yeah.
that's that apart.
How was school? Did you get in trouble at school? Were
Oh
you?
yeah,
Yeah.
I was always in trouble, but I was like,
Yeah.
I was one of those kids where, I mean, I didn't look like a mess now, because
Mhm.
this is my day off usually.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid, I had my teachers used to say to they could never tell me off, because like I'd do something, they'd shout at me, and I just one of them have them little cheeky smiles, and
Yeah.
they couldn't tell. But I was always in trouble. I was always
Yeah.
in the head
Mhm.
mistress's office, and
Yeah.
you know, um, Ross has done this, Ross has done that, Ross has been fighting,
Mhm. Mhm.
anything that I was supposed to do, I'll do the complete opposite.
Right.
I always wanted to, my nickname used to be, and still is now, is Ross the Boss at
Ah.
home with my family, because, I do what I want, and I do.
Right.
I can't really conform
Hmm.
if I don't think it's right. And I
Right.
just think, nah, fuck it.
Right. Right. I getcha. That's so true. So as a result of this, did you ever fall into any like substance abuse or suicidal thoughts or anything like that? Yeah.
Suicide, yeah.
Mhm.
But substance abuse, no. I did have a little bit of a problem with drinking when I hit 18, because
Mhm.
you can drink legally at 18 over here.
Gotcha. Mhm. Mhm.
And I used to drink before that, and I spent a little bit of time like over drinking, but
Mhm.
I was really heavy on my fitness and
Mhm.
my physical performance. So
Mhm.
it's never really interested me, and me
Mhm.
losing control
Mhm.
scares me as
Yeah.
well.
Mhm.
Even to like this day, like, there's still a lot of people actually in our industry as well that
Mhm.
do drugs.
Okay.
And I would be too frightened to even slightly open the door, because if I lost control, I don't know what I could do,
Right.
and I wouldn't want to put myself or anyone else in that
Mhm.
situation.
Mhm. Mhm.
But suicide was, yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
I,
Mhm.
I, I can, I definitely see
Right.
why people do want to do these sorts of things to themselves.
Mhm.
And the last time I did it, I said I'll never do it again.
Okay.
Um,
So that's interesting. You said your last suicide attempt, you said you'd never do it again. What was
mhm.
different? Why?
Well, I had a daughter. She
Mhm.
wasn't particularly old at this point, and so even though that I had gone through sort of like CBT and trying to fix myself, there
Mhm.
were still times where depression would get too much,
Mhm.
and I would get overwhelmed. And this is well before I was tattooing as well. So I was in like a
Right.
boring job and I wasn't happy and things like that. And just so things just start getting added up.
Mhm.
And I can't remember what it was now. Um, oh, the mother took the daughter off me.
Yeah.
And I thought, right, fuck it, I'll see you later.
Yeah.
So I took, because my mum is ill as well. She's quite ill. She's disabled, so I care for her as well.
Oh, wow.
And I took all of her medication. Um, I took the whole lot, and
Wow.
but accidentally I took her stomach medication, which basically lines her stomach. So
Got it.
my body didn't absorb all of it. And the next thing I know, I'm in the hospital. The nurse said that I'd gone like green, as green as the plant behind me.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, proper green. And then next thing I know, everything goes black, but it was like I was sitting in like a vessel,
Yeah.
like a tank.
Yep.
Really, really weird.
Mhm.
And then there was like a weird little like glow and this
Mhm.
weird sound,
Wow.
and then it felt like a big vacuum, and then I was back, and I was like, what the fuck just happened? And
Right.
they were like, you'd been resuscitated and all this lot. And I said,
Wow.
I'll never fucking do that again.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's just kind of changed my outlook on life and where I want to be and how I am with people
Mhm.
and everything really. It's just changed my whole perspective on things.
Yeah.
And my baby needs me as well. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting that you said, you were aware enough to experience what you did. You know what I
hmm
mean? So
yeah,
that was obviously very scary, and I would say that would definitely
yeah. I
change
mean,
your perspective. Mm.
even before when I was like, oh my God. So when I was 13-ish,
Mhm.
probably a few years before that as well, I used to like physically harm myself, but not like cutting. So like
Mhm.
I'd headbutt walls, punch walls, and try and knock myself out because I didn't want to be around.
Yeah.
I'd hung myself
Mhm.
twice,
Wow.
um, um, but the rail broke. So I was then feeling shit about myself. And I was like, I can't even kill myself, and stuff like that. So all these sorts of things were always continuously mounting up on top of me and things. And yeah, it was rough. It was proper rough. And funnily enough, actually, my best friend went through a tough time last night, and he actually hung himself last night.
Just
Um,
less is he okay,
yeah,
or did he?
yeah, he's completely fine. He's completely,
Oh my gosh.
yeah,
How scary.
he told me this morning. So I went round to go see him. Well, I got back about an hour ago.
Mm.
And he's completely fine. He's completely fine. It's just everything's got on top of him. I punched him, and I said, "Don't
Mhm.
ever do that again."
Don't knock some
um,
sense into him, right?
yeah, and so I've just talked about, what are his issues, what are your problems, and things like that. I mean, not quite as bluntly as that. I had to kind of like feed it out to him, and I suppose because a lot of people talk to me, especially on Facebook and
Sure.
Instagram and stuff, and like they seek advice and stuff
Mhm.
and stuff
Mhm.
like that. But I don't actually give advice. I just let them. I twist things so they can figure it out themselves, which is what
Yep.
I've done with him.
Yep.
And I've realized that that because he's in the job that he's in, he absolutely hates it.
Mm.
And I said, don't do it.
Right?
Don't do it. You're here once. That's
Yeah.
it. You have only got one shot. And I said, you don't know if there's anything else
Right.
afterwards. So
Right.
why think, oh, there's something else? You don't know. So
Yeah.
make the most of what you've got now. You've got one shot, and that is it. And it sounds really like cliche and all that crap. You know what I mean? And you
Well,
literally do have one chance, and that is it.
right?
That's it.
Well, I agree, because it's like that's a lot of hours to be spending. If that's your full-time job and you're
hmm
miserable that many hours a week, that is going to wear you down. And thank God you were
Correct.
there for him this morning. What a scary event this morning.
Yeah.
I think you running right over there, that has to mean the world to him, because it's
Oh
like, you know
yeah.
what? I do matter to people, and my being here matters. And I think in just having our children, you said you had your daughter, we
Mhm.
don't want our kids to have that story to tell,
Yes. Exactly.
that,
Exactly.
and I interviewed
And I.
another gentleman that said that exactly. He has a son,
Mhm.
and he doesn't want his son to have that story to tell. And that's what gets him through. Go
Well,
ahead.
this
I
is
interrupted you.
that's okay. The thing that I said to him as well, and I said, you feel like you're a burden on people, and he said, yeah. And I said, what happens, do you think, when you die? So if you're successful and you've killed yourself, he says, where does that pain go?
Mhm.
He says, I don't know. He says, you've transferred it onto other people that do care about you.
Wow, that's perfect. That's just
I
perfect.
said,
Yep.
I said, because there were some people that said, oh, it's selfish, people commit suicide. I was like, not really,
Mm-mm.
because they're not there. They think they're such a burden that
Right.
taking them out of the equation would
Right.
help them. I
Right.
said, but you're not helping them. You're making it worse.
Right.
I said, there are
Right.
people out there that love and care about you,
Mhm.
and you're transferring that over. And I think the penny's dropped with him now. So I'll check in with him later on this evening.
Yeah.
And I think the penny sort of dropped with him, and I think that's what some people need. They just need that penny to drop. So they need to keep talking to people,
Yeah.
and people need to keep talking to them.
Right.
And you also need to assess your own environment
Mhm.
as well.
Right.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah. You can't heal I love the quote, you can't heal in the environment that broke you. So if
exactly,
if you're still there, you have to get up and out. And whether it be your family, your job, there's just a million places people can be stuck. There's got to be a way for you to get out of there.
exactly.
So you're not continually wounded. Um, when did, you told me about, tell me about your schooling. You have, the creative piece, you have a degree in, was it?
Yeah, yeah. So I went to university.
Mhm,
Okay, so I for years I'd spent a job in Vodafone,
mhm,
which is like our network over here. I was there from when I was 19 till I was 25.
mhm,
I hated it. I hung myself in there as well because things got really bad.
mhm, mhm.
Um, and I just thought I've had enough of this shit, so I
Yeah,
left.
okay.
And then I was just doing bits and bobs and all loads of other crap and warehouse work, and I just thought, this is
Ugh,
shit. I can't deal with
yeah, I
this.
can't deal with it.
Because I don't like answering to people, which is really bad, especially when I know they're not even qualified to do the job properly themselves.
That's a tough one. Yeah, I know all about
Yeah.
that.
So it's like they're telling me to do stuff that they can't even do themselves. So
Yeah,
anyway,
yeah.
I thought, right, what can I do? I'm gonna go to university. I studied cartoon and comic arts,
Love
so I
that.
thought I'd like to get into the comic book industry,
Mhm.
which is really underpaid. So I just said, right, I'll do something else. So I went into tattooing. I spent a long time trying to get into that, and I got into it, and I'm all right.
Wow. Now, how long has
Yeah,
that been? How long you've been doing tattoo work?
I've been tattooing for nearly 7 years,
Oh, wow.
maybe 6 years. I think it's 6 years. 6 years properly tattooing,
That's
and only over the last, say, 2 years that I've actually got a full grasp as to what I do.
okay. As
Yeah,
an
just
artist, yeah.
yeah. As an artist, I'd say, right, color is my thing. This is what I do, bright and bold,
Yep.
um, and that's what I enjoy doing. So
It's
yeah,
beautiful, your Instagram page. I
thank you.
went through it and I was just like, it's so colorful, bright and bold. And I was just like, oh, if I ever got a tattoo, it would be a statement like that.
Yeah,
For
yeah.
sure
This is
it'd
it.
be like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. So tell me then, the creativity piece,
Mhm.
when did it click for you that this is where I feel better? This is helping me feel better. Was there a moment that you realized this was an avenue for you, or did you just always know that?
I've always wanted to do tattooing.
Hmm.
I've always been fascinated by it. I've always wanted to do something creative and artistic, and I've had opportunities to do it, but nothing's ever really kind of stuck and thought,
Hmm.
yeah, I could do this.
Hmm. Hmm.
But when I first got my apprenticeship, I I was up at like 6:30 in the morning, which is
Hmm.
really unusual for me because
Hmm.
I love to sleep in. um, and I was just like I couldn't wait to get to work. I just could not wait, and it
Ah,
that has never changed. I'm still like that now.
yeah.
I mean, I haven't really been in it that long
Right.
as compared to some other people, but yeah, I absolutely love my job.
Yeah, that's the sign right there. When you can't wait to get to it,
Mm,
you're in the right
yeah,
place. Wow,
I
that's
I think
amazing.
about tattooing all the time. I never stop thinking about it.
See, and now you're your own boss and you know what you're
That's
doing.
right. Yeah, I'm my own boss. I do what I want. I make but I'm always I'm always at work.
Yeah.
You know, I'm always working all the time. And when we were in lockdown, it didn't really bother me that much actually, because I found other ways to make money with during doing artwork and stuff.
So that is actually one of our questions during the pandemic and the lockdown. That was a really hard time for a lot of people. How did
Mm.
you manage through that time when you can't be doing your tattoo work? How did you manage all of this time?
I was okay. I think mentally, because I'm in a good place and I
Hmm.
have been for a long time, it was
Hmm.
okay.
Hmm.
Um, I just saw it as a chance I could just sleep in, play my Xbox.
Yeah, get
And
some
then
downtime.
I had some ideas that I think that I'd want to do, because tattooing was never going to go away.
Hmm.
I think even if it became illegal, you know, if ever that ever happened, which it won't, but if it ever did, I'd still
Right.
tattoo. I'd just do it
Right.
underground. Yeah,
I have no doubt.
I'd still do it.
Why would it become illegal anyway? That's kind of
It
funny.
was at one. It was at
Okay.
one. It was at one
Was it
point, and
really?
like,
I did not
yeah,
know.
in Japan as well. Actually no, I think Japan they've legalized it now. But
No
you know,
kidding.
they go in Europe as well. They're doing a lot of things now with the inks, where they're making certain inks illegal.
Oh,
I think they're just trying to make more money out of people. I
yeah.
think.
Well, there's that. Yeah, I did not
Yeah,
even know that that was a thing in the tattoo
yeah,
world. That's
yeah.
interesting. Gosh.
Mm.
So let's talk about, if you don't mind, some of the CBT and how, what were the best parts of that? What worked for you? What didn't? What
Um,
did you like about it?
well, it all worked for me because I wanted it to, because I
Hmm.
wanted to get better. And like I say, I'd been through loads of therapists, and there's just one person that just kind of worked. And I think that is the key as well. So if you are going for some help, you've got to find the right person, one that connects with you. So if you have to go for 1,000 therapists, go for 1,000 therapists. You know, just
Right.
find the right one that you
Speaks
feel
to you.
understands you.
Hmm.
And she just really put the time in to help me. And she really listened, and she understood what was going on with me,
Hmm.
and all that sort of thing. So she really helped me, and she knows that I'm a visual person, so she did a lot of where I had to close my eyes and visual CBT and stuff, and
Hmm. Hmm.
connected with myself, and as an 8-year-old boy,
Hmm.
and that like there was a vision of where um, it was like, because I used to have long hair when I was a kid,
Okay.
but this boy had a blindfold over his eyes,
Hmm.
which was basically a representation that I was too scared to go into the future. I didn't like what I was seeing. I didn't like where I was, but I'm still there.
Hmm.
And one of the things was I had to climb a mountain in this sort of like, it's kind of like a dream.
Okay.
And you have two objects with you, which is a sword and a cup. And the cup represents your feminine side, and the sword represents your masculine side.
Hmm.
Um, and so it just things like that. And there was like a house that I had to revisit. I had to let this boy out and stuff, and it was mind blowing, absolutely mind blowing.
Wow.
And it just made me realize that it's not his fault,
Hmm.
it's not my fault. And I think I think that the thing that I've come to realize is that I am not in control of what other people do, but I
Oh,
am in control of what I do.
yes.
Um, I am completely in control of what I say to people as well.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, I could say one bad word and that could send someone completely the wrong way, which is what I wouldn't want to do.
Right.
And I wouldn't want anyone to feel like that.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so that I kind of just try and be mindful as to what I say to other people as well. You know.
So it was kind of like a guided meditation, sort of.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
That's very interesting. And then it kind of helps you see it from another perspective,
Hmm.
kind of above
Yeah,
it. And I've heard of that, and it kind of helps with the objectivity as well.
yeah. But again,
Um,
it depends on the person as well.
you're right. A couple things I want to reiterate for the people who are listening is that, yes, you do have to be ready. And if you're not ready,
Yes,
I don't care who you have as your therapist or what method you're using, it's not going to work. And I've heard a lot of people say, oh, I tried a therapist. They tried one. And I think it is
yes,
so important. And a lot of gentlemen that I'm speaking to are saying the same thing. It took two. The second one, the fourth one, the fifth one, you have to keep going. If you're not
have to keep
clicking,
going. Yeah,
there will
find the
be
right one.
somebody that you gel with.
But there's also that attitude as well. Like when you said, well, I've tried a therapist. Now
Mm-hmm.
that to me says that they're looking for someone to fix it for them.
Right. Good
Just
point.
by that, but just by that attitude, oh, I tried a
Mhm,
therapist, it didn't
mhm,
work. It was like, well,
mhm.
what did you expect? That they're
Right.
just going to wave a magic wand and it's going to work? No,
Right.
it's not going to work like that.
And I think another thing that's interesting that you said that, there is work, and I think people, do want that quick fix, and I'm full of quotes, and another one of my favorite is, your wound probably isn't your responsibility, but your healing
No,
is. For all the time that you spent getting wounded, being wounded, and suffering, it's going to take that time, a tremendous amount of time to heal. It's not an overnight thing. It's not one
yeah.
quote. It's not one method. It's not one therapist. It's many things.
I think also as well that people are quite scared of confronting what's happened to them. They want to
Sure.
forget about it. So they know it's happened, but you have to go through it all again.
Yeah. Yeah.
You do have to go through it all again.
You have to
So
face it.
which is probably the most painful part for a lot of people is
Mhm.
having to just basically walk through the whole thing all over again.
Right. Right.
But
And mhm,
it's like watching a movie. You watch it the first time and you enjoy it.
mhm,
You watch it
mhm.
a second time and you notice so much more.
Right. Right. That's actually very true. We're Rocky fans in my other podcast, and it's
Yeah,
just interesting how I can watch Rocky as a kid and notice one thing, and then as being married or as a parent, you notice other things.
that's right.
And with that, we actually do ask the movie question: is there a movie that really uplifts you, that makes you feel hopeful?
Yeah, it's quite an interesting one, but this is the film that changed my life, and it
Oh,
was American History X.
okay. Oh, I have
Mm.
not seen. I'm not sure if I've seen it. Tell us about that real quick.
So Edward Norton is in this one,
Hmm.
and it's he's a
Hmm.
Nazi enthusiast, and by the way, I am not a Nazi enthusiast,
Oh,
but
sure.
that's the point. This
Right.
whole film is basically he's been roped into something that he initially didn't believe in,
Hmm.
and then it took over his whole life,
Okay.
and it ended up destroying his life, and
Okay.
then he rebuilt himself, and then because of his past, something else happens, and that's towards the end of the film.
So American
Um,
History X. Okay.
yes,
Got it.
very powerful film,
Mhm.
a massive story about redemption, and he's got there's a really good scene where he has got a big Nazi iron cross on his chest,
Wow.
and he's in the shower. This is after his redemption. He's been to prison. He's killed somebody. Um, And yeah, so he's looking in the shower and he's like, "What the hell have I done?"
Wow.
It's unbelievable. But there are people from his past that are still in that life,
Okay.
and he has to come away from it.
Another question we like to ask is books, favorite authors, favorite speakers, influencers, things like that. Do you have any favorites in there?
Do you know what? I see and hear quotes all the time. I think the other quote that I had was again from American History X,
Hmm.
which was "Hate is baggage."
Hmm. Mm.
So he's Edward Furlong at the end of the film, which is the other guy in the film. He says, so I guess this is where I tell you what I've learned, my conclusion, right?
Hmm.
Well, my conclusion is hate is baggage. Life's too short to be pissed off all the time. It's
Hmm.
just not worth it.
Right.
And I love that quote. It
Wow.
changed the whole film changed my whole uh, look on life, and then that's when I started to go get therapy.
Wow.
Mm,
Okay, so that's interesting. So it was the movie that really moved you to do that. That's
yeah.
fantastic. Okay, so
As
we're
I say, I
definitely.
used to I used to be a very, very violent person. Someone could be the other side of the street and they could just look at me and I'd
Hmm.
just go run over and
Hmm.
start them.
Hmm.
And there was no need for it. I was just so angry
Hmm.
with everything that I'd been through.
Yeah.
Like I say, I'd been through sexual abuse. I'd been
Hmm.
through physical abuse. I'd been
Hmm.
through family rejection.
Oh my goodness.
Um, like when I used to so there was me, my brother,
Hmm.
and my stepbrother, and a family all together. And
Hmm.
because I was naughty, my thing was that I had to eat my evening meal um, on a table on my own at the front door at the other end of the house
Oh,
while they were all together eating their meal together.
Oh, that's cruel. That's cruel.
That's,
Yeah.
that was just one
No,
instance.
yeah, but
Yeah.
that isolation, that will definitely do damage. That does
Oh yeah,
damage. Yeah.
definitely. Did loads of damage to me.
Yeah.
I literally felt like I wasn't worth anything. I wasn't allowed to go outside,
Mhm.
play with my friends or anything like that. I had to stay in.
Wow. Wow, that's amazing.
It's rough. It's proper rough. And
Oh,
then I've been I've been homeless, living on the streets as well. I
wow.
was eating out of the bins of one of the food shops, and this woman, she used to give me, like, at the end of the day, if there's food left over, they usually sell it off really, really, really cheap.
Right, right.
Um, so if there was any left over, she'd say, you can have it, sort of thing,
Mhm.
and I'd say thank you and all this lot. I've never stolen or anything like that,
Mhm.
but I'd go around searching for food and stuff. I keep myself hidden as well because I didn't want people to know I was on the streets.
Right, right. So you said prior, you said that you've been good for a really, really long time. Is that
Mm.
5 years, 6 years, 10 years? How long do you feel like you've been better?
I'd say from when I was 28, and I'm
Hmm.
36 now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of your family and friends, I know people, sometimes you have to walk away. Have you gotten any of your family back, or do you not want them back? Because perhaps they're the problem and you need to stay away from them. Or
Um,
do you feel like with your healing, you were able to have conversations to make amends?
yeah. So there is one
Mhm.
who I encountered
Mm.
the abuse from,
Okay.
and I still speak to him. Um, and it's bad. It is bad,
Mhm.
but me being pissed off isn't going to change anything. It's
Good.
happened. It's happened.
Yeah. Mhm.
He knows it's happened. I know it happened,
Mhm.
and that's it.
Mhm.
He was going through his own turmoil as well, and I think
Mhm.
I was like a guinea pig to,
Sure,
for
to
him to
that.
find out who he was.
Mhm.
And obviously, I was very, very naive and young, and I didn't really understand what the hell was going on.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
and but I just don't let it affect me.
And
And it doesn't. I can talk about it, no problem. Um, and it just doesn't affect me.
any apologies from him?
No,
No?
no, just denial. But he's that sort of person where
Yeah.
he doesn't want to acknowledge it.
Okay.
He's happy with his life and what he's doing
Mhm.
and stuff, and I don't need that apology.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
don't need it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You have to heal from that apology that never came. And I think that that speaks to the degree of healing you've been able to
Mm,
achieve. It's really
yeah.
amazing.
Thank
That's
you.
yeah, no, it really is. I have my own struggles, but sexual abuse
Yeah.
isn't one of them. And but I do speak to a lot of people, and that's a whole different kind of pain. It's a whole
Mm.
different sort of thing that's obvious.
Especially as a man as well.
Yeah. Mhm.
Because stereotypically men are strong.
Yeah.
So being able to talk about these sorts of things as well is
Mhm.
very, very difficult and completely understandable as to why they don't.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, so I can understand why men say, "Oh, I don't talk about." And I'm
Yeah.
still like that to a degree. Like I won't
Mhm.
cry. I'll
Right.
never cry.
Mhm.
I'll just acknowledge what's happened and deal with it. But
Right.
I'll never cry. I haven't
Yeah.
cried since I was like 12 years old.
Oh, really? I do wanna thank you for being brave enough to talk about that, because the more
Yeah,
I'm talking to gentlemen, the more I'm realizing it's not that rare. It's among men that
it's
the
so
sexual
common.
abuse, it's
Oh
heart
yeah.
I'm heartbroken at how common it is. I didn't even realize how common it was, and so I think you
Mm.
being able to come on here and, be this big, strong guy and say, "Hey, this happened to me," and look at what you're doing now,
Yeah. I
I
think it's a
just
case of you've got to realize, you are worth, you are worth being here. You are here for a reason.
Mhm,
And the probability of specifically you being here is
mhm.
so small.
Yeah.
And that you might not have had the best start, but it
Mhm.
doesn't mean you have to have a shit ending.
Right, right. Mhm.
And he'd be like one of my friends, he has actually died through suicide. He
Oh,
died 3 years
so
ago.
sorry. Yeah.
Um, and that was rough. That was really, really rough. And he was the strongest person you could imagine.
Wow.
You wouldn't
Mm,
cross him, and he took
mm.
his life.
Oh,
Um, And that was really, really rough. But I'd spoken to him as well, and sometimes you just can't always get through,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I would rather just people just speak to me.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lady that I tattoo quite regularly.
Mhm.
When she come in, I could tell there was something wrong with her, and she, she was getting really bad and talking about this, that, and the other. And I said to her, I said, please don't do it. And I've never said please don't do it to anybody.
Yeah.
But I said, please don't do it. I said, it will really hurt if you do. I said, I
Yeah.
don't want to go to your funeral.
Yeah.
And she promised me she wouldn't. She used to cut herself quite a lot as well, but she loves tattoos. And I said to her, goes, the day, because I do a very small discount. And I said, the day I find that you've cut yourself, I said, I will tattoo you full price. So,
Whatever works.
So, that's it. So, but she honestly, she's a really nice girl, and she's really, really struggling, but she's doing better now. And she reminds me of how I was going to go.
Yeah.
She reminds me of myself, and we made a breakthrough to find out, what it is that she's struggling with, and it was the fact that she always felt that she's never wanted, and she didn't realize that. But after her talking to me and speaking to me about things and telling me what she's going through, what she's currently going through, and all this lot, and it would boil down to the fact that she always felt that she was never wanted.
Wow.
And
See,
it's changed her life now. She's doing okay. She's not 100%, but she's getting better.
Yeah. Yeah. See, this is the stuff that I just love to hear when people, there's the pain, no experience is wasted. Do you know what I'm saying? And,
Yes.
and if you can be an example of healing and moving on and finding a way to get through it, what you're doing, you know what I'm saying? As you're, if someone comes in for a tattoo and little do they know that they're going to figure out some major things because of a conversation that you're having with them. It's more than tattooing. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it happens quite a lot in tattooing. We say that we're like unpaid therapists.
Yes. I think that sometimes having that outside person who isn't in any of it so many times my hairdresser or, has said something that I'm like, oh yeah, like I didn't even notice that, they have an objectivity that someone who knows you just doesn't have. And so you being able to bring some clarity while you're tattooing them, I don't know, they walk away with so much more because of what you've offered. And I think that's the coolest thing about all the pain that you've been through. You've healed and you can help people get on their path to healing.
And I enjoy helping people. I enjoy it, as best as I possibly can. But and also as well, like most of the time, a lot of the stuff that they've been through, I've been through myself.
Right.
And it's the thing as well with me, what I like to do is I just sit on the fence and I watch and I observe, and that's it. I don't always comment. So I see a lot of stuff. And so I can give advice if they need it, or I can say, well, try this or try that, or like my friend, I'm giving him some advice as to what to do, and he's doing it. I think he's going to quit his job. Luckily,
if he's miserable, it's not worth it.
Well, this is it. I said to her, because what's the worst that can happen? You're just going to end up killing yourself for a job that doesn't even give a shit about you.
No, and we're all replaceable in that setting. So
exactly. Yes, you're just a drone, or you're just a cog in the machine.
Right.
Just quit. You have no value at all. And and he works bloody hard. He's very, very anal about stuff, and he has to put everything into it. And I said, you're putting your energy into something that's not going to give you anything back, which is what you want. You want acknowledgement. You want to be acknowledged that you're really good at your job, and we're going to reward you for it. And if they're not doing that, you're wasting your time.
Yeah. Well, I do pray he finds whatever his thing is. I pray that he can be as lucky as you to, get up in the morning and can't wait to get there. I'm envious of that. I think that's fabulous.
He'll be fine, because I've got him behind him, and I'll kick his ass if he tries anything else again. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You'll straighten him out.
I'll beat him up
in the best kind of way. Oh,
but I say I've got loads of stories and stuff that I can tell you that has happened, and all that sort of stuff. So it's all sorts.
Well, I certainly appreciate the transparency, and
Hmm.
I do encourage everyone I talk to be transparent, because you are not alone. You know this. It's
Oh yeah,
so
100%.
common. So, even in little snippets, kind of like the way Mentel does on their Instagram page, just
Hmm.
5-minute little. I encourage you to do that if you feel called to do that, just to tell short little stories that people can listen to, so they know they're not alone. I think it's a big deal.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
think also like with men as well, there's a lot of stereotypical things of way like men should and shouldn't be.
Right.
You know,
Right. Hmm.
like we don't cry. We're strong and all this
Right.
sort of stuff.
Hmm.
And we're not. Where everyone's so different and everyone's completely different. There are people that are like that just
Hmm.
get on with it and do it and
Yeah.
whatever. And there are some that are incredibly emotional.
Hmm. Hmm.
It doesn't make them less of a man.
No, no. And this is,
Um,
you're speaking exactly to the mission here, because
mm,
men and women are allowed to experience the entire human experience, not just
exactly,
women.
exactly.
Men should be allowed to express all the ranges of emotion. And
Well, there was
mm.
I think it was Chris Rock. He did a stand-up thing,
Hmm.
and I feel like this is how a lot of men do feel. And he said, he said that the only people that are loved unconditionally are women, children, and dogs, and men are only loved if they can give and provide them something. That's when men are loved.
Wow. And what
And
a
and,
sad
unfo- and,
statement.
and
Yeah.
unfortunately, that is true. That is true.
Hmm.
And it's that and it's one of those stigmas that are never going to change. So you have
Right.
to change your own mindset about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that is the mission, my friend. That is a perfect place to close. That's
Yeah.
exactly it. Wow. That's great. I do appreciate your time. I feel so bad.
No problem.
You're not
I'm
feeling
really
well.
sorry.
Clear.
I
That's
know, I
okay.
know. I didn't want to cancel or anything like that because I,
Oh,
I don't like doing that sort of stuff.
no, that's okay.
Um,
We got
but
through
like I
it.
say, yeah, if there's anything else you want to say, I'm more than happy to come back on. And like I
Yeah.
say, I've got hundreds of stories of
Right.
things that I've been through.
Yeah.
Um,
If we get into specific topics, I think that's a great idea.
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
if we do,
100%.
for
And
sure.
yeah, awesome.
All right, Ross. Well, you're just keep doing what you're doing. You're
Yeah,
so good to a lot of people. That's obvious, and
I hope so.
they need your experience and how you got through. I think it's what you're doing is amazing. So thank you so much for
No
being with
worries.
us.
Brilliant. It's been
All
great
right.
being on.
Thanks so much.
No
We'll
worries.
we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, see you later.
Okay. Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye bye.